And we've got the recording going, so we'll go ahead and get started. Feel free to share out the link on the recording to anybody that missed the meeting, or the email address that you can email if you have questions as well will be in the slide deck this evening. So what we're going to talk about tonight, what is ODP, why we do ODP as a state with USYS and US Soccer. We'll talk a little bit about the selection process, the coaches that are going to be involved this year, what's on the calendar for 26-27, Praxis, which is the application that we use for registration and communication, the player key qualities that players will be evaluated on through the cycle. We'll show you the kind of the game model that we work with through Midwest and National ODP, and we'll have an opportunity to take some questions at the end. So what is ODP? ODP is an identification process to promote high-level players for selection for the U.S. national teams. A secondary objective for Nebraska ODP is to train and develop high-level players to help improve their environments with their home teams and clubs. So the U.S. Youth Soccer ODP philosophy, this is shared on the website as well, to identify players of the highest caliber on a continuing and consistent basis, which will lead to increased success for U.S. national teams in the international arena. Purpose, to identify and provide opportunities for high potential players, facilitate their development, and expose them to the next level of their chosen pathway. The goals that I have stated for the staff that work with the players in ODP: provide a memorable experience for every player, teach first, challenge every player to be a better version of themselves, and allow an environment for unique development experience, and then ultimately to have fun and enjoy the game of soccer. So just want to touch base on the ODP pricing for this year. So any tryout or ID clinics that we do will be $55. So if you register for tryouts, you'll notice that there's 3 weekends of tryouts, the upcoming weekends in July and the first weekend in August. Once you pay that $55, you can come to any and all of those tryout events. And for those players that indicated that they could not make any of the in-person events, we do have a process where we reach out to coaches or come to training sessions to do evaluations for those players that can't make the events in person. But that $55 does get you access to all 3 of those events. When we are outdoors, there is going to be 3 sessions, 2 Saturday, 1 Sunday, and then a goalkeeper session Saturday and Sunday. Goalkeepers want to come to the sessions for both the field players and the goalkeepers. So in a particular weekend, field players will have 3 sessions, goalkeepers will have 5. If you are selected for the pool, we'll talk a little bit about the sex selection in a moment. The registration fee for the year is $350. The events are basically pay for the events you attend. All the pool players are invited to the KC Friendlies, the Far West ODP Championships in Arizona, and then the Memphis Interregional Showcase is an invite event, so that's a selection event. We do have an international trip this year. We're going to Germany in March, and that's open for the U11 to U14 players, basically the players that are not yet in high school. For the high school players, we will do some college recruiting events. In years past, we've done the Real Cup Showcase. We had a little bit lower turnout in college coaches this year, so we may do a different event for the high schoolers either in February or find an event after the high school season in the spring. The goal, obviously, through the cycle is to get your player invited to region camp. If you get selected for that, the pricing on that for this year was $475 for that 3-day event. So with the registration costs, that covers all the training sessions that we do. We'll go through the calendar here in a minute, but that's all the training sessions, 2 player evaluations, and then the individual development plan. The international trip will be Bayern Munich this year. I do have the link included that has the link to that website that has all the details of the trip. There will also be an additional meeting that we do in early August for anyone that is interested, that makes the pool and is interested in going to that trip. We haven't nailed down that day exactly as yet, but it'll be shortly after we announce the age group pools. That trip will be March 11th to March 19th. So the selection process, for each of the age groups, we will select 18 to 36 players. In years past, we have had some age groups where we've gone more than that 36 number. We are going to do a hard stop this year on only selecting the top 36 players for each of the age groups. We will announce the team selections in the third week of August after we've completed all the tryout events and evaluations of players that weren't able to make tryouts in person. That is the first part of selection. And then obviously we do the evaluation and over the cycle for the year for the invite for the region camp selection. Generally, we get anywhere from 3 to 8 players selected per age group. Those invites for region camp go out in April or early May for the July event that is in Rockford, Illinois, and includes players from the 14 states that are in Region 2, which is the Midwest region. At that event, there's generally 90 to 120 players per age group. They will select 18 players from that age group to be on the region team, and those players get invited to a national event. Previously, those have all been in Orlando in January. For this year, it's November for the girls, January for the boys. The assumption is next year, because the agreement with the site that we've done them at in the past is it will not be in Orlando for this cycle. They haven't told us for sure where that's going to be, but it sounds like it will be in Texas for players selected in the 26-27 cycle. At that national event, they pick a national team to represent USYS that will go to an event. Those team camps and events are TBD as they vary per age group. In the past, there's been international trips, Dallas Cup, Eastern International Cup, Iber Cup in Portugal. So these are large national events with other youth national teams or professional clubs in those areas. I won't read through all of the player names to be respectful of time, but I'll leave the slides up with the coaches that'll be working with the teams this year. One of the things that we are trying to get closer to this year is having a set group of coaches that are working with each age group. But obviously we do have a lot of college coaches in the group, so some of those availabilities vary. The goal would be to have the same 3 or 4 coaches that work with the age group throughout the year. So the players and coaches both know the pools very well, and that helps the learning process and the development with those players, but also then making sure we get good evaluations for their selections to hopefully get them invited to region camp. This is just a second page of the other 3 coaches that will be working with the boys' side. And then the coaches that'll be working on the girls' side. And then also, just because you see a coach is on the boys or the girls list, we do have some coaches that work with both sides, so there might be some crossover. So you might see a couple of the girls' coaches working on the boys' side and vice versa as well. So just want to talk about Praxis very briefly. So that's our registration system. I just want to show you and walk you through real quick. We have noticed an issue where not everybody who completes registration for tryouts is automatically getting added to the tryout pool team, and that allows you to see the chat, the schedule, and make sure you get the proper email notifications. So once you have registered for tryouts, if you do not see NEODP tryout pool 2627 in your available team list, when you're on your, obviously this Praxis screen right here looks a little bit different, but you should see on your teams list, you should have NEODP tryout pool 2627. If you do not see that list or that team, in the upper right hand corner, you'll see your profile picture. You want to click on that profile picture, and this is where you control your options. You want to click on the Manage Teams button and then select Join. That is where you can enter the team code for the tryout team and click Submit. And again, that code for the tryout team is this code here on the Communication tab. And if you have any trouble with registration or adding the team code to your profile in Praxis, you can email odp@nebraskastatesoccer.org or call or text 402-490-0849. I just wanted to touch on the calendar here. So the dates that you will see in Praxis right now when you register are only the tryout dates. Once the team access is loaded after the selections are made, we'll have the rest of the schedule in there. We will have 6 team training dates this year. So we'll have an October, a November, 2 in December, a February, and a May. The events that we will be attending, again, are the KC Friendlies, Far West ODP Championships, the Memphis Interregional, and then there is 2 events that we're still working on. One of them is an additional friendly event either in November or December with Iowa, Illinois, and us. And then there is an additional sub-regional event for the younger ages that will be in May or June. So there'll be potentially 5 events in addition to the international trip that you'll be able to participate in during the cycle this year. So if you've been in the program before, U.S. Soccer hasn't made any adjustments to the 6 key qualities from last year as of yet. They generally do these on a 2-year cycle, and we are in the 2nd year of the player actions and the player key qualities. So I won't read through all the details, but it's good for you if you want to share these slides with your kiddos. But the primary 6 categories are game understanding and decision making, kind of that soccer IQ piece, responsibility and initiative, which is kind of their self-regulation of setting goals, being present in their own development, that sort of thing. Growth mindset and winning mentality. That's going to be the mental side of the competitive nature of the game. Technical execution, ball manipulation, physical execution, that's running, jumping, changing direction, and then learning ability, or kind of the generally that's coachability plus also their ability to watch the game, see the game, and apply the things that they've learned. So we do focus on the 4 phases of play and how those key qualities work into the phases of play. So we have attacking, transition to defending, and transition to attacking. We generally keep the game model fairly simple for ODP so it's easily understandable. So these are the concepts that we work with all the age groups. Obviously, the younger age groups, it's probably going to be a little more simple and straightforward. We do get a little more complicated with the older age groups. For some of we add in some additional concepts for the game model for the U16, U17, U18 groups. Transition to defending. The goal, prepare to deny chances in order to prevent goals. For defending, deny chances in order to prevent goals, win the ball back. The transition to attack, we want to possess to pass or dribble forward in order to create chances while the opponent's unbalanced. And oops, I think I skipped over. And then in attacking, we want to create chances to score goals. Now, just a couple of things to kind of differentiate and clarify. ODP is not a replacement for club. It is in addition to club or working with your home team environment. So ODP is an identification and development program, so it's not a club. So kind of how I want to make sure that everybody understands the two concepts that are a little bit different is the primary focus is on the individual development and selection, not the team. So the results don't matter. That doesn't mean we aren't trying to be competitive and win games, but what it means is we will sacrifice for results to make the individual player better. I did share the ODP FAQ link as well on this slide because it goes into a little more detail about some of the commonly asked questions about ODP. And again, that's on the state soccer website, but the direct link is right there. This is my personal coaching philosophy. I do like to share this with parents that are looking at doing ODP or the parents that are a part of ODP, just so they know where I'm coming from in operating this program and my approach to coaching. So the only kind of to do after this meeting is if this sounds like something you want to get your kiddo involved in, is we want to get you registered for tryouts. So the direct link to the Praxis Sports app to complete the registration is here. You can also find a link to register on Facebook under the events tab, the Nebraska ODP website, nebraskastatesoccer.org/ODP. And it'll also be shared out a couple of times over the next few weeks on X and Instagram as well. So now I'll open it up for any questions you may have. You can either raise your hand and I'll call out your name and you can come off mute, or you can drop your questions in the chat. Open to any questions for the good of the group. If there's any specific questions for your kiddo, I will hang on the call once we answer all the general questions for a few minutes, or also you can email and or text and we'll get those questions answered for you.
Sorry, I just have a quick question about the dates that are listed on the website. Those are set, but are there makeup dates, like potentially if, things are called off? I'm assuming that is a risk, just...
Yeah,
I like that the dates are already there.
Yeah, with weather, our primary plan is anything we miss, we'll do that second or third weekend in August. So, like for example, if Omaha gets canceled due to weather, and that could be for a couple of different reasons. Obviously, in July and August, it's really hot. So if we ever get to what U.S. Soccer is determined as a black day, meaning the wet bulb temperature hits a certain point, we can't train at all. obviously we have trainers at all the events and they handle that for us. So as long as we're not in the black, we will go based on heat. And then we'll be on turf for the Kearney and Omaha. So if we have rain, we'll still go. But if we have lightning,
Okay.
we'll move them
Cool.
up. We'll move it out. We'll move a session out into August so we can get another one in.
Okay. Thanks, Ed.
Yep. Got a question in the chat. With rosters up to 36 players, are there generally 2 teams in an age group? Yes. So the way we do the 2 teams, what we're going to be doing this year is those first 2 events, the friendly events that we're doing with Iowa and Illinois, and then the KC friendlies, where it's going to be mixed groups based on the positions that we get through registration. So if you say your kiddo plays, left wing and center back, then we'll mix up the teams based on the positional. And then for the Arizona event and the Memphis event, those are the ones where we put the like skilled players together. So that if we get a full group of 36, then we'll take 2 teams to Arizona, and then we'll take 1 team to Memphis. For uniforms, that information we do share out after team selection. We will have those do get ordered through Soccer International in Omaha. So there is a link that comes out. We are continuing on with Adidas. So we're ordering a similar uniform as last year. So if you have a uniform from last year and it still fits, you will not have to order again. You will only need to order if you're replacing. So after team selection and you get your invite and you register, one of the columns is it will ask you if you're a returning player, and if you are, what's your game jersey from last year. Coaching assignments will be out. I don't have a set date for that yet, but I want to have those posted before invites go out. So I'm going to try to have those posted Friday before the Omaha dates. I'm still waiting on a few coaches to get me their availability for all the events, and then I can assign out. Another question. So to clarify, is it encouraged for them to attend all 3 tryout dates, even if they're based out of Omaha, or should they just be attending the tryout for their home base? Attend as many as the tryouts as you can. The reason being is we do want to see as many players play against each other as possible so we can start the evaluation process and know where they fit in with the group. It's a lot easier for coaches to see them against the other players that we're looking at to select for the group. Do you have to live in Nebraska to try out for Nebraska ODP? We live on the border of Nebraska. The Nebraska practice locations are closer for us. You do not have to live in the state in the ODP group that you participate in. For example, we've got Omaha Council Bluffs. So we do have quite a few Iowa kids that participate that live in Council Bluffs in Nebraska ODP in the past. Also, we've gotten a few Dakota kids that participate with us because we do more of the events than Dakota does, so they like to travel with us. Same thing with Kansas City. Kids can do Missouri or Kansas for that ODP. Ed, are you coaching this year? Yes, I am coaching this year, and I get first dibs because I'm the director, so I'll be working with, on the boys' side, the youngest boys group, so the 2016s, and then I'll also be working with the 2012 girls. If the uniform is Adidas, is it required to have Adidas cleats? No, we do not require shoes to match the jersey. It's kind of like goalkeeper gloves or a bat for baseball or a glove for softball. That's a tool to play the sport, so we want the players to be comfortable. They pick something that works for them. What will you send out? Yes, I will be sending out the PowerPoint slides and the recording after the meeting's done. Practice locations are with the schedule. The city is listed right next to them, and then the exact location will be shared out after the team selections. But we generally are in at CHI in Omaha, Papillion in Omaha, LSF in Lincoln, and then the Kearney Sportsplex in Kearney for those locations. How do ODP rosters generally compare to club talent levels? We've been pretty lucky the past few years as far as getting a good pull from the different clubs. So it kind of depends on the age group. So, for example, last year we had a really strong 2012 girls group. We had a strong 2013 boys group. We had a strong 2011 boys. So it really kind of depends on the age and who comes out. The challenge I kind of put to the coaches in the group and even the parents that are a part of the program is, if you know there's good players out there and we should have a look at them, invite them out to ODP, even if it's after tryouts. We can get an evaluation on them and see if they're a fit. The reason that's going to be a bigger deal going forward is with U.S. Youth. So U.S. Youth is what Nebraska State Soccer is a member. It's the 52 states in the country. There is a process going on right now where we're all moving under directly U.S. Soccer. So the talent identification process with ODP, U.S. Clubs ID2, is going to be more directly tied to U.S. Soccer talent identification. So ODP is going to be a little bit bigger deal over the next 3 years. So we want to get as many top kids in the state into ODP so we can put them into the portal for to get scouted by U.S. Soccer and come to our events. I know that's kind of a long answer for a fairly simple question. 2013 boys will most likely be Ari. I haven't finalized that group yet because there's a couple events I'm still trying to work out schedules with his college coaching schedule. Adrian, you had your hand up.
Yeah, sorry. The chat for me is disabled, so I don't know if it's just a personal thing, but I was just wondering if we're going to the Lincoln one, this first one, is there like a registration once you get there, and also can they wear whatever they want in terms of just t-shirt and shorts or stuff like that?
Yeah, so the registration link is on. You can go get it a couple different places. There's on the website, if you go to nebraskastatesoccer.org/ODP, or if you Google Nebraska ODP, it'll take you right to the page. And then there's a big blue button right in the middle that says register for tryouts. So if you click that button, it'll take you right where you need to go.
Sorry, I meant more like when you get there to the
Oh, okay.
to the
I got
tryout,
you. Yeah.
like a sign-in process.
Yeah, so your first session you come, the arrival time on all the sessions is 30 minutes before we start. When you come to check in, we will get you a tryout jersey with a number, and then we record that number for tracking of the players through the tryout process. So we'll have a shirt that's provided, and then whatever shorts, socks, shoes that the kiddos want to wear. We're green and white tops this year. Odd numbered years are going to be white. Even numbered years are going to be green. And so we can kind of, when we combine sessions to play and stuff like that, we can kind of tell the age groups apart easily. And then we do take a picture of every player that comes to the tryout. So we'll have jersey number plus the picture, and then that's all tied to your registration information. So there will be a check-in process, and we will get you a top for tryouts.
Thank you.
Yep. Uh, 2011 boys, haven't finalized that staff yet. Good question, Amy. The birth year is not changing like it is for club. The reason ODP is staying birth year is so we're still set up the same as the national teams. So for this year, there's still some discussion, but for at least for this year and most likely next year, we're staying birth year with the ODP, so it's tied directly to what the national teams are doing. So if you're born in 2012, you'll be doing the 2012 tryouts. If you're born in 2016, you'll be doing the 2016 tryout. Will we have check-ins Sunday too this weekend? If the kid, yes, we will be doing check-ins before every session for all 6 of the dates that we're doing tryouts. If my son played for a different state for ODP last cycle, can we change to Nebraska this year? Yes. With how the registration rules got changed 2 years ago, you can do Nebraska 1 year, Iowa another year, Dakota another year. So you can be with whatever state works for you. Who will be the 2014 boys coach? Still working on the assignments for that group. Are kids ever played up for their birth year with a year up team, or always aligned with age? Generally, they're always aligned with age. There's been a couple times for early developers, and that's generally done with the bio banding. So size, strength, speed, we want to match that. So if we got a kid that's like an early developer, we might push them up. I think there was just 3 kids last year for out of 390 that played up for Nebraska. When we go to Memphis, though, we try to have them play age correct because that's the scouting event for the age group in Memphis. So we try to have them play with the correct age for Memphis. Appreciate all the questions, guys. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.